Here's a community service announcement. Are you using Campden tablets like these? Throw them away. They don't work. Alright, so this behind me you see in a load of my videos is my storage cabinet for my chemicals, specialty grains, and all sorts of things like that, salts and cleaners, and some spirits and stuff up the top, but a bit of everything. Now, every now and then I clean it out because things just get pushed to the back and I forget about it and stuff like that. So today I've been cleaning it out. First thing to go was my old grain. Grain gone. You don't cook with old ingredients and you shouldn't make beer. Yes, you can make beer with old ingredients, but if you want your best beer, get fresh ingredients as much as you can. But really, you prefer to use your grain within a year, the same as your hops as well. But you know, as home brewers, often we get older grain already. Often it's nearly a year old when we get it, which is unfortunate, but just do the best you can. But I was once told by one of the most famous Australian maltsters, yeah, not to buy grain in bulk. Especially if you're going in competitions and that, and you want your beer to be the freshest it can, go out and buy it from a cellar that has a lot of turnover, so you're getting the freshest grain you can, and you'll get the freshest beer you can. Now, he's not going to make money from saying that. He's going to lose money out of saying that, because instead of selling the bag to me and he makes all the profit, he's selling it to a seller and they're splitting it up and selling it to me. They're getting it cheaper than I am. He'd be losing money given that advice. The reason he gives it is because it's the right advice. Let's move on from ingredients. I know I'll get 100 emails saying, I use old hops, I use old grain. It's perfectly fine. You'll hear it on social media every day, but you wouldn't cook with old ingredients and you shouldn't be making your beer with old ingredients. So I just rescued the Campden tablets back. They are going in the bin though. I bought these years ago. If you've seen my videos, I use straight sodium metabisulfate. Campden tablets in the past were always potassium metabisulfate, but they work in exactly the same way, and they're good for lots of things, getting rid of chlorine and chloramine. They're a good, we'll call it antioxidant, for protecting your beer against oxygen damage, but they degrade, and they degrade quite quickly. Again, I'd probably say a year for these things, and they could be a little bit more stable in a tablet form, but you don't really know. So especially after a year, even up to a year, you don't know how much it's degraded, and you don't try to use more chemicals than you have to. They degrade. So at 2 years, bang, throw them away. If you've got Campden tablets that are over 2 years old, they're probably not doing what you think they're doing. They're definitely not if you're using the correct, the small amount that you need of these things. They won't be working. I found this in the cupboard, which is, again, 100% sodium metabisulfite. We used to use it as a sanitizer, or they call it sterilizer, for a long time in home brewing, way before Star San was even a thing. And I used to buy this, used to be able to get it at Kmart and Big W and Woolies and that. I haven't seen it for a while. I don't go hunting for it. I buy it in bigger packs than this, and I don't go shopping for my home brew stuff from Woolies anymore. Again, you don't know how long that's been sitting on the shelf. It's got no date on it. I know that's years old. That's going in the bin. It's no good. It's not going to be effective. There's no point having it in my brewery. Chuck it away. So that's Campden metabisulfite, all of it. There's no point buying big bulk lots. It's tempting when you see how cheap it gets. But if you're not going to use that in a year, 2 years maximum, there's no point to you. You're just going to throw it away. Buy some and break it up with friends or something like that. Store it sealed, dark, cool spot. This isn't, well, it's quite dark in there. Normally, I've only got the garage door open when I'm recording videos, but it's definitely not cool. And it's definitely humid in here when I'm brewing, which is all really, really bad for these sort of things. What else can we talk about? Another thing that is getting thrown out is this huge 500 gram packet of calcium chloride. This has gone like a powdery substance where it should normally be in these big lumpy, that's a technical term, sort of thing. And I can tell it's gone chalky and it's had it. Now calcium chloride, or pickle crisp you might call it, is, I use it in every brew. I don't think there's a brew gone past in years that I haven't used it. But it's also sold as damp-rid. Whatever you do, don't buy damp-rid and use it. Probably got other stuff in it, and it wouldn't be food grade. But that means it soaks up the moisture out of air really quickly and really effectively. And once that happens, you don't know what you're weighing. You might have the same amount of chemical in there, for want of a better term, but because the weight has changed so much that it's absorbed all that water from the air, then you don't know how much you're using. So I've wasted that. That's sat at the back of the cupboard, and I knew I'd bought one, I couldn't find it, and I'd bought another packet. They should be not stored like this. They should be stored in a jar, like I've got some behind me, which I can show you. Again, nice stable temperatures, airtight, away from moisture and light, and they'll last for longer. This has had it, it's going in the bin. So I guess we should add ascorbic acid, because some people use ascorbic acid instead of these. I don't think you should ever use this instead of these. You can combine this with sodium metabisulfite or potassium metabisulfate to be effective. I don't use this because the other stuff to me is more neutral and works well. I don't need to combine it with this. So this is just another ingredient. But again, it needs to be airtight, kept away from moisture. This is still powdery. Ascorbic acid should last a good few years, but it's got to be stored right. And we can get to something like that over here. Citric acid. Now this again should last for years and years, but when I was cleaning up, again I buy too many of them. This I use for my distilling and stuff like that. That one sounds fine, hasn't had oxygen in there. That one's fine, but this one, although I've shaken it it's gone solid. So there's moisture in there. I don't want that in anything I do. It's going in the bin. Yeast nutrient, same thing. That even stinks now. That has gone rock hard. Do you really want to put stuff like that in your beer? I don't. I'll buy some fresh stuff, which I have got behind me already. There's no point of going to all this trouble of weighing these ingredients and buying them if you don't store them correctly, and then continue to use them when they're not effective. So there's just no point. My pH solutions. People often say, why do you keep them in the fridge? It's a real pain because I forget to get them out before brew day. That needs to be on my little checklist. Get out the pH solution before brew day, the night before or whatever. What happens is you get little bits of junk in, no matter how careful you are. No matter how careful you are, you rinse your pH meter and there's bits of wort on it, and you try not to, but it happens, and you get junk in them and things grow in them. Look at that. Found that up the back of the cupboard. This is no good for testing your pH anymore. No good at all. I'll give you a close-up. The fridge isn't going to totally stop this happening, but it's going to slow it down massively. And you want to be changing these every couple, 6 months or something anyway. Whenever you see whenever they look contaminated, just change them over. Another thing, I don't use gelatin, and that's the same. That'll last for ages and ages, but again, you've got to, if it starts clumping up, moisture's in there, and you don't want to keep using it. I don't use gelatin at all. I'm not even sure why it's there. It's there for when I do videos about how I don't use it, and all the other things I use, like biofine and things. Speaking of storing biofine, people say, in my original video on biofine, I said to keep it in the fridge. The reason I keep it in the fridge is because this garage is hot. 40 degrees Celsius, it's well over, it gets up to 120 Fahrenheit out here, easy. It's pretty hot out here today. And it's just no good storing it at that sort of temperature. The thing with biofine, you can't freeze it. Once you freeze it, the silicas, the salts in it drop out of suspension, and they don't go back into suspension. So they're the things that do your job. So once you've frozen it, or even got it, if it's too long near freezing, those things will precipitate out, which is what helps you in your beer when it grabs all the yeast and everything, and the phenols and stuff that you don't want in your beer, and it pulls them out. But yeah, if you freeze it, it's no good. So you have to look after your biofine. Don't freeze it, and don't store it too hot. It's one of the only things I'm jealous of people overseas that have cellars. We don't have cellars in Australia. We have hot garages. I'm not going to go through anything else. That'll do for today. It's supposed to be a short, quick vid for a Saturday afternoon. But I think you get the idea. Things don't last. You'll always find those people on forums. I won competitions with 3-year-old grain. Good on you that you did, right? Good on you. But if you want to brew your best, you wouldn't, if you're brewing a cake for the local cake competition, you wouldn't go, oh, I've got all these 4 or 5-year-old ingredients in my cupboard. You'd go and buy fresh ingredients to brew the best cake you could. And it's the same for your beer. Anyone can make beer. Making beer is really easy. Making great beer, you need good ingredients. Don't make home brew at home. Brew beer at home. There you go. There's my new saying. I don't make home brew. I make beer. If you want your home brew to taste like home brew, the old school home brew, so be it. I want mine to taste like real beer. Real beer. Fresh ingredients. And you'll get the best beer you can. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like this video. There'll probably be a lot of thumbs down for this video, but that doesn't affect me at all. It's all interaction. Do it. Ups and downs. Whatever you think this video deserves, give it a bit. Massive thanks to my patrons. Without my patrons, these videos couldn't continue. And I'll see you in the next one. I should have poured a beer. Hang on a sec. There you go. Look at that. That's biofine for you. You're not going to believe it, but this is a lager that I brewed with the new Cellar Science German yeast. That's a Waffenstein. Whatever it is. It's you'd equate it to 3470, something like that. We used 2 packs in a 23 litre, 6-gallon batch. And that was only put in last Saturday. It's Saturday now, 7 days ago. And it needs a little lagering, but the biofine did the clearing trick. It's a tiny touch of that 3470 smell, even though I said it just reminds me, I reckon it is 3470 or something extremely close. Yeah, another couple of weeks. But that's pretty good to drink. That's why biofine is so good. And that Cellar Science yeast is good too. Give it a crack. I did that at 16 degrees, which is on the hot end for that, but it's fine. I keep going out of focus. Any camera sponsors around? It might be my first sponsor. I need a new camera. Cheers. Have a good weekend.